the body knows how to do is adapt. It builds muscle around trauma, grows wisdom from what lingers, acceptance over submission. After the bullfrog was let loose in the West, it outcompeted nearly every other species of frog in that region. And I wonder if luck is just a placeholder for birthright, if survival is strummed through the songs we sing in praise of our residue. No one asks bullfrogs if they miss their softness pre-rupture, if somewhere between memory and mourning they are calling each other homeward. My mother watches from the couch as her child plays the introduction to Lift Every Voice and Sing for the 2011th time. She says, play it again, and my fingers ache with obligation. This is an inheritance worth callousing for. This refrain, a blood impulse. Hunger led the bullfrog past extinction. Gospel feeds the soul one delicious note at a time. Look at what instinct does. My own body swelling with wild calls meant to dissipate among nature's symphony. After surviving, the bullfrog endures lust after life despite all that has denied its glory. Even when we close our eyes, summertime reverberates with their gloating baritone. So I have one more original poem. This one is actually from my debut collection, Heirloom. And it starts with a quote from Fannie Lou Hamer. And if you don't know who that is, I suggest that you look it up. I keep a shotgun in every corner of my bedroom, and the first cracker even looks like he wants to throw some dynamite on my porch. Won't write his mama again. I keep a piece of myself on the porch. Don't test me. I've had everything ripped from my flesh and still fix my gums to smile at those who wish me harm. Don't try it. I am a nigga who comes from niggas, and as such, I do not play. This body owns nothing, exists everywhere. You can't kill me. All the fullness in the world collides within my frame. A grand unraveling weathers me mighty vengeful. Can you say the same? My love shatters anything that has tried to cause me harm. Ceremony predates survival, so leave my flowers at the doorstep and dance until your heart bursts into 1,000 new iterations of godliness. Fill my cup with lilac wine, where one can pull a Nina croon through the window until a swan song of rage fills the walls and covers me in honeysuckle rose. Give me all that I desire or nothing at all. I want a new wig. I want a plot of land. I want a small wind that carries me through the rest of forever. I'm at least owed that. All right, and this last poem is not an original poem, but it is by a fave of mine, Cornelius Eady, and it's after Mahogany L. Brown's On Meditation. It's called I'm Here Because Somebody Survived, which means sometimes you disarm the goon by acting the fool. What they want is your throat cut, or your heart broken by a dumb bullet, or your eyes filling with the void. So they leave with their cartoon of you in their heads. The instant they turn, the flood water stopping just before the top step, the hawk grasping feathers instead of flesh, all the small stuff, your sweat beating off your skin, your breath slowing back from flight to human. You've won it. You can pass it on. Thank you.
Yes. Let's keep it going. So Heirloom, you should 100%. Wait, actually, do you have copies with you?
I just sold out, but you can buy them online.
See, that's how good it is, y'all. I'm glad I got me another copy, because I had a copy originally that I bought online, and it's not even on. I had a copy that I bought online, and I let a friend borrow it. And I was like, oh yeah, like check it out. And then I had literally only read like maybe 4 or 5 poems out of it. I was like, oh, I love this, like, check it out. And then I didn't get it back. And so I bought another copy. And yes, it's going now. So go pick it up, hit up a local bookstore, order it online, to, I was about to say get sticky, that's, I don't know. I'm not going with that. Karla Brundage. So, Karla Brundage, when asked about freedom, said, "Freedom is a gift, in the words of the great Nina Simone, no fear." Ooh, let's give it up for Karla Brundage, y'all.
Thank you. Yeah, when Kevin reached out about this reading, I was not feeling free. I had just read about Say Her Name, J.K. Owens, and I was not feeling it. But my family has always celebrated Juneteenth. I grew up in Hawaii, and my mom was an activist there, and so Juneteenth was always kind of like just a family barbecue. It wasn't a national holiday, it was just a way that we could all get together and kind of be together. So thank you, Kevin. Why do Black people protest? Black people have always fought for this country. Fought this country. Fought for this country. Fought alongside whites, occupying spaces of shadow. My grandfather's hat and gun, crossbow spurs, twinkle in his matted eye, hair like a buffalo soldier's. In the bedroom, too, is silence, the stop, the choking gall to aspire towards light. Of course, a synthetic illusion of freedom. Please hold my blistered cotton hand, love. Open the door, there's a baked ham on the front table. But to sacrifice my hatred, my happiness to hatred, what for? Am I obligated to pay price paid so many times over? Arms weary from carrying the signpost, pinched nerves in back of spines. I am a woman. Part of my own freedom journey was traveling back to the motherland, to the continent of Africa, to Ghana, and many other places. And I wrote this poem actually when I came back from living abroad in Cote d'Ivoire for 3 years. It's called America, I'm Leaving You. America, I'm leaving you. You didn't think I would do it, did you? You, with your endless stream of illusion, Netflixing me from portal to portal, talking dirty in the double mattress bed, McDonald's, Starbucks, hamburger. Things only you know about me, styrofoam, plastic cups, skipping the recycle bin. You, my addiction to you was clear, how you pulled me by the hair, pushing your boot in my back, targeting my hiding spaces, gunning my children down. America, you make me sick. And yet, I keep loving you. Don't underestimate me, because I made you who you are, Cotton Gin. I gave you everything. You thought I would never leave. Bricks of the White House, sugar, honey, Target. You feared I would take it all back. Well, guess what? You can have it. But I'm leaving. Leaving for those so-called backwards shithole places that you dragged me out from. Thought you rescued me from an abusive father only to drown me in patriarchy? Don't try to lure me back with your $25 off Macy's card. Groceries, shopping malls, and ice cream museums. No way. I'm out of here. Back to my own blackness, my own wilderness, without electricity or running water, without toilets or multiple cars. I don't need a house that smells like pine sol. I don't need cheap cherries picked from slave labor. I'm taking back my Middle Passage, getting on a ship and flying home to Africa. America, we're through.
Karla Brundage. Let's give it one more time for Karla Brundage. So you can catch Karla many places, but a place that you can 100% catch Karla is on July 11th for Poetic Tuesdays. It's part of the Everyone Garden Festival because she's hosting, and that's going to be at Jesse Square, 12:30 to 1:30, and there's going to be amazing lunch. Poets there too. So, Catherine went out to Carr. Deborah Major, what? Landon Smith, what? Right. Shizucio? And Raymond? Yo, and Raymond Nat Turner? Yeah, this is, see? July 11th, Jesse Square, 12:30 to 1:30. Go over, it's right by YBCA. Gonna keep the poetry going. Nazelah Jamison.
Yeah.
Right. So when asking Nazelah about freedom, Nazelah said, it is an abstract concept that hasn't happened yet. So let's give it up.
Hey. Y'all so cute. Just a room full of good-looking people. So I have a few poems for you. Want to keep it positive, but also real, as one does. So this is Black Girl poem. It's called Busy Black Girl. I wanted to write this poem, but I was too busy trying to live. Hard to hold a pen when one is holding one's breath. I run everywhere I go, busy paper chasing, dream chasing, chasing myself. And the men who catcall me say, baby, why don't you slow down? To which I say, to them and to myself, be worthy and keep up. I am so busy getting over and becoming, trying to show up and occupy space in a world that treats me like a shadow. You call it black girl magic. I call it cramped manicured fingers, shopping skills, and makeup prowess in between the struggle, because on the rare occasion you ever happen to notice me holding your world together, I will always look good doing it. I try to set an example. I keep moving these mountains, rebuilding these bridges, attempting to be the superglue, cementing the Black American dreams, busy trying not to die in a society apathetic to me. I am here, busy remaining, living, growing, transforming, standing proudly, black and nappy, from ongoing trial by fire and perpetual birthing and rebirth.
It sounds
I'm just
not,
making
no.
sure, because I don't...
It's not. I
Is it
think
off?
it's going off. If you
going off?
hold the button on
I
the
mean-
side, let me see.
I don't care. Oh, okay. I mean, I think it's gonna die, but that's cool. Not loud. So this poem is for everyone. I will no longer make eye contact with lone, nervous, white female strangers in ghetto neighborhoods or situations. I am not your savior. Not my job to make you feel comfortable in front of groups of young black men gazing in your general direction. Don't ask me meaningless, disingenuous questions just to make conversation. Someone made me this bracelet. I'm not cold at all, and I don't know anything about the fries. I suggest you ask someone who works here. I do not, despite involuntary ethnic appearance of natural compliance and servitude. Let's both of us no longer be rude to each other and simply walk away from inappropriate and unnecessary interactions. I focus on holding my breath in elevators full of clusters of scared Caucasians, my intrusion causing all conversation to cease. I keep my eyes lower to the floor. Sometimes I clutch my purse and grind my teeth. I intentionally allow unwarranted feelings of intimidation toward me. I'm 5'2", 100 pounds of very black militant revolutionary unpredictability. I see the fear in your eyes, the expectation of hostility, and I've chosen not to make you feel better about it. Allow you instead to inhale your own irrational doubts and baseless fears and exhale the oxygen-rich breathing space I need. I stand near enough for you to smell my subtle stench of righteous indignation. It overwhelms me, seeps through my pores like cheap vodka or poverty-induced anxiety, and the shower wouldn't wash it away. You can choose to forgive me or not. It's hard out here, trying to maintain compassion and composure in the face of bold obtuseness and self-imposed ignorance, when people who look alike keep asking the same questions over and over again. It's annoying that you won't talk to each other or take our word for it. I don't wonder why you're afraid of black people or what you expect from me. I know you, like I know wanton violence and open-faced animosity. We have passed down a profound knowledge of white people generationally for safety. Our attempt to keep our children from being beaten down in the street or being accosted by the police or having their feelings hurt at the grim reality of their role in this society. It is the type of knowledge that is acquired from hundreds of years of being maids and butlers and cooks and valets and mammies and wet nurses and slaves. It is this knowledge that keeps our insides free. And every day, I have to go out here and be black in America and explain once again that which is continuously misunderstood and ignored, myself. And my response to any white person who feels an unbearable pang of discomfort at yet another confrontational African American aggressively expressing exasperation at the current ongoing situation is this. Racism should make every one of us uncomfortable. Every day, all the time, not just me. Freedom is uncomfortable. We gonna get there though. Did y'all hear about that racist old white man that shot that teenage boy for trying to pick up his siblings? That inspired this. This is called Tuesday Morning. Good morning, it's Tuesday. Another black girl went missing last night. Did you notice? Did you feel the sudden vacuum where divinity used to be? No, the news tends to ignore the uncelebrated, the unworshipped in the background. I myself travel alone at night a lot. I walk really fast and stay in view of streetlights a lot. I stay away from empty parking lots. I already merely exist as a series of unnamed statistics. I'd rather be a shadow than a ghost. Another black boy got shot yesterday, not to be confused with the other black boy who got shot yesterday, or the other black boy who got shot last night, and last week, and last month, and day after tomorrow, and next Thursday afternoon. Not to say that every day another black boy gets shot, just to say that somebody should change the narrative. That is to say, we only hear about what is considered newsworthy. No one cares if black people kill each other, but black boys are also getting picked off by a succession of scared white men. Seems they fear most for their lives when they are the only one holding the gun. It is mid-afternoon on weekday. It is an understatement to say that I feel hunted. I am surrounded by apex predators today. I act nonchalant and pleasantly stoic. When I say no to the stranger demanding my phone number, will he stab me in the face? If a white man brings a gun to the school that I work at, will I have time to run away? Any minute, my next appearance could be on a missing poster or memorial mural, or in a say her name hashtag, it will not be newsworthy. It will not be noteworthy. It will just be Wednesday. I'm not leaving on that note. Since we read people we like, I love Lucille Clifton. So I realized as an adult that Lucille Clifton was the first poet I ever read, because she used to write this children's book about the adventures of Everett Anderson. I don't know if any of you read that, but that was one of the first books I read, and this is my favorite Lucille Clifton poem. To me, this is what freedom is about for me as a Black woman. Won't you celebrate with me what I have shaped into a kind of life? I had no model. Born in Babylon, both non-white and woman. What did I see to be except myself? I made it up, here on this bridge between starshine and clay. My one hand holding tight my other hand. Come celebrate with me that every day something has tried to kill me and has failed. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's everything. Let's give it one more time for this evening, y'all. Every bit of that. I'm talking into this mic like it's on, and it's not. I can just do the projected thing. So one of the places that you can catch Nazelah is in the first and third Friday,
Yes,
right?
yes.
First and third Friday, the virtual open mic. But think of it like the virtual open mic. Like, you know, you get Shakespearean in it, and you can also find Nazelah. What is it? I think I wrote it down. Yes, that's what it is. Super Naz, N-A-Z, _your super friend. And definitely go back and get, I can never remember whether it's Revolutionary Heart or Evolutionary Heart. I literally see the care. Evolutionary Heart. I always see the cover in my head. I'm like, ooh. But yeah, come down fire now. Okay. Thank you for what you're doing. Jeanne Powell. Oh, there you are. When I asked Jeanne about with freedom, Jeanne says, to stand tall in the absence of fear, to have time and opportunity to dream a future. Give it up for Jeanne Powell.
Thank you, Kevin. I didn't know this place was here.
It's off. It's not. It's dead.
And that little low-budget coffee shop is gone. Coffee 99 cents. That's okay. I can pay for a latte after I sell a couple of books. I do have books, y'all. Remembering Tina, I don't know whether I want to go nice and easy or nice and rough.
Start easy then.
All right. I'm going to start with an essay. They say start with a poem first and then go to the longer piece, but what the hell? Is this thing on? It has a button somewhere.
Yeah, it keeps, I think the battery's dead. The battery's
A
dead.
dead
I'm
battery?
sorry.
We can hear you.
Yeah, we
All
hear
right,
you.
good. This is an essay I wrote shortly after Obama won his first election. Like any successful candidate, he went to his home city to speak to his folks. This is called Reverend Jackson's Tears. In the audience was Reverend Jesse Jackson. So much to celebrate last November 5th, the day after America's 2008 national election. The Chicago audience was giddy with excitement as the incoming president spoke. No reason to notice an older man standing quietly in the crowd, tears running down his face, features twisted with emotion. Once the photograph was published, though, responses were quick. Twitters, I think you all say tweets, sorry. Stay away from that. Twitters, as I wrote them. Smug columns and lightweight editorials, cartoons and yawns. During Obama's speech, many people across the country waited for some recognition of the pioneers and martyrs whose sacrifices paved the way. And that recognition came in a few graceful phrases, too few, before the photogenic president-elect moved on. Of course, he was president of all the country, and his speech must reflect that reality. Jesse Jackson Sr. has grown old in service to the civil rights movement. He walked and sat in and demonstrated with Dr. King and the other ministers of the SCLC and continued serving after Dr. King was assassinated. So many events Jackson witnessed and experienced after answering the call in 1960, leaving school to work in the movement. He did not have an Ivy League education or a middle-class upbringing. Like so many civil rights pioneers, he brought what he had, brought all he had, and went where he had to go. Reverend Jackson was blessed to have walked with greatness and to have inspired thousands of African American youth who otherwise would have fallen through the cracks in our fractured, race-oriented society. In 1971, he formed PUSH, People United to Serve Humanity, and campaigned for economic empowerment of the disadvantaged and people of color. In 1984, he formed National Rainbow Coalition to concentrate on issues of social justice and political empowerment. And he ran for president in 1984 and 1988. Go back to those incredible years in the library and internet videos and look at the faces of America's majority newscasters as they exhibit irritation, impatience, and actual fear that Reverend Jackson was taking precious votes away from Democrat front-runners in presidential primaries. The historic nature of his effort, following in the footsteps of Frederick Douglass and Shirley Chisholm, was lost on them. After nearly 200 years, there came a time when Christian ministers no longer led the way in African American culture. After hundreds of slave uprisings, the Civil War, the lynching and burning alive of African Americans by domestic terrorists, violent assaults on African American communities in the 1920s, all the marches and sit-ins by those who practiced passive resistance, plagued by death threats and assassination attempts in the 1960s. Other civil rights advocates were spat upon or shot or beaten to death for asking for the right to eat in a cafe, ride on a Greyhound bus, register to vote, send children of color to integrated schools. It came to pass that their time was then, not now. Business professionals and attorneys from the African American community, men and women successful in the secular world, moved forward and ran for public office on every level to cement the changes, illustrate the progress made by those early ministers, nuns, priests, rabbis, students, farm workers, homemakers, and revolutionaries like Stokely Carmichael of SNCC so long ago. Ghosts were present that day in November 2008, and Jesse Jackson clearly felt their weight. Civil rights volunteers kidnapped and murdered in secret. Others shotgunned as they drove cars to help local activists, and others clubbed to death on public streets in the South. Schwerner, Cheney, Goodman. Viola Liuzzo, whose murder left a husband and 2 young sons in Michigan, the state where I spent most of my childhood. 4 little girls in a Birmingham, Alabama church. The many threats against Dr. King when he took the movement north for housing integration marches in Illinois, and when he led strong opposition to the American war in Vietnam. Medgar Evers, NAACP leader, shot from ambush as he pulled into his driveway one night. President Kennedy brought Evers' widow to the White House, and Evers was buried in Arlington National Cemetery. That same year, JFK was murdered in Texas. Charles Evers and Robert Kennedy formed a close friendship. Both had lost brothers in public service. At the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, there is a railroad made of human bones, black ivory, black ivory. Amiri Baraka reminds us, the most notorious Holocaust in human history occurred from the mid-1500s to the mid-1800s. European historians estimate that as many as 100 million human beings were kidnapped from West, Central, and East Africa. Half of those kidnapped died during the brutal voyage of the Middle Passage, and their corpses were thrown overboard. Slave labor camps of the Second World War took their inspiration from slave labor practices on plantations in North America, South America, and the Caribbean before the abolition of the international slave trade in the middle of the 19th century. A titanic struggle to end slavery and preserve the Union took place between 1861 and 1865, but it did not end there. Douglas A. Blackman, in his book, Slavery by Another Name, has written of the systematic re-enslavement of blacks after the Civil War, even before the end of Reconstruction, and continuing into World War II. Well-researched and horrific to read. How strange we continue to condemn European countries for their wartime evil, without exploring also the deep horrors of racial brutality in this country. So many gone. So much suffering, so much violence aimed at an entire people in order to justify using their slave labor to build the wealthiest economy in the history of the world. Racism remains the blood-stained elephant with broken tusks in the center of the room as people tiptoe around it, eyes averted, looking for an easy way out. Yes, there were tears on Reverend Jackson's face the day Obama spoke about his presidential victory. Yes, there were many around the country who would have liked Obama to visit the segregated graves of the black Civil War veterans in Arlington National Cemetery, and the Civil Rights Memorial designed by Maya Lin in the South, and the bones taken from slave graveyards discovered during excavation for new construction projects. Time remains and abides. After all, the ghosts of our ancestors remain with us always. And Jesse Jackson's tears spoke of many rivers to cross, of dreams deferred, and the absence of a crystal staircase for generations of African Americans. Okay, I'll read one more. I think I have time for one more. Okay. Finding, discovering, owning the freedom to write about yourself, I think is so very important. Oh, dude, I didn't know where the camera was. Where's this camera? Writing memoir is hard. Writing memoir is hard. You knock on doors nobody wants to open. Let the past stay past. Under padlock and leafy moss blankets. You knock on those windows with tiny panes. Memory won't let you in there out of pity. Too rough on your consciousness. Emotions likely to rile up and stomp. Writing memoir is hard. You have to go really slow. Walk along dusty pathways with a watering can, stop to take in deeply notched leaves. Hear the sighing of tree branches in the wind as they recall close cousins cut down. You go home and chant as candles glow. You hold jars of beets your grandmother canned, caress earrings, blue and silver, your mother left before she walked away. And that brown radio in an antique store, just like the one your dad listened to, you stand and whisper to it. Close your eyes and imagine, simply imagine, where he might be buried. Writing memoir is hard. A gray stone library beckons and you climb its steep, winding staircase with urgency. At least you did before the plague years. You stroll along the shelves, touch the spines of books. When one touches you back, you open and read. Memories slip from printed pages, rifle through your curls, nestle in your crimson scarf. Close to the bay, you walk the Embarcadero. Ancestors float in, waving from fishing boats 1,000 miles from Great Lakes territory. You recall fish fries, lamps hung from trees, and laughter lighting up sundown shadows. The tide goes out before they hook a place in your memory. On public transit, electric bus, and metro car, people parade past, and you inspect for that trace of yesterday others find in family Bibles and albums bulging with photos posed and candid. A stranger smiles and greets you by your birth name, unknown out here on the West Coast. What are the archangels trying to tell you? Start with the little girl first. You know, the one with long braids on the cover of February Voices. Find her again. Won't be easy, but gain her trust, and the cadences will emerge, will outshine manufactured dreams, break through your silence. This memoir business is hard, but where else are you to go?
I love it. It's so true. Let's give it up for Jeanne Powell, y'all. And as it was actually perfect timing because, actually first, do you have other copies of your books?
Oh, do I have, I have copies? Do I have copies? Copies, and then I have.
Oh, perfect.
Don't approach me with those silly credit cards.
Cash, baby. Give me cash. Oh, I feel like Rick James in the room or something. I'm like, come on, sticky in the cash. Okay. So we're gonna have more poetry. I'm talking into this like it's hard. The batteries are going to go in. We're gonna have the mic back. But so the living room is like a reading series and so long. So I want you, if you can, if you will amuse me and move your own hearts and souls, to find somebody who you don't know. We still got 3 more poets. We still got some more poetry coming. But I want you to find somebody who you do not know, and I want you to engage in conversation with them, whether that's around the question of freedom. What is freedom? Are we free? Who is free? When's free? Where's freedom? Or it could be just around some of the words that you've heard. So we're gonna take like 10 minutes. And if you want to grab like a drink, run to the restroom, there's that too. But conversation should happen. Any questions? And when you come back, there's going to be points. So don't go anywhere. All right, see you back in 10 minutes.
I'm Grayson, by the way. What do you like to write about?
everybody else. Don't worry.
What restaurant that you recommend? Oh, that like flavor one that's actually really good. I definitely can send it to you guys. Yeah, it's really good with like tasted like the sea in the best way. Yeah.
Are you guys traveling this summer?
I'll probably like go down to LA or something. Pretty good. Yeah. It's my my nephew's birthday next month. My birthday's July 1st, so we're going out to PV, like me, Charlotte, and high school friends. Wait, high school college friends. Not PV. PV. So
We're imagining that it has only been 10 minutes and not the actual 15 to 17 minutes that has actually passed. It is only been 10 minutes. It is only been 10 minutes. I love it. The room is just filled with the room is filled with all the conversation, and I dig it. And that's always like, you know, that's the part we had come together, right? You heard points, and points are distributed by sharing a little bit about what you talked about, like maybe who you met. Like I met Jose over there. We were talking about freedom, and it like started with one. You were trying to figure out if one could even define freedom or get to freedom and what freedom is, and Jose was talking about like, coming across this a joke this comedian made about going to the ATM with the card out. So that the person in front of them would know, like, oh yeah, I'm here for this, and then realizing like, oh man, I do that too. And it's like, that's not funny, and that's not free. And I was like, yeah, no, same thing. Sometimes I'm going to my own apartment. And it ended with like talking about the freedom of trying to like trying to buy a home, or to be able to own a home, and it was like, oh, freedom, what, where's that? So, I shared a little, and I'm not taking any of the points for that. So, there's still some points. So, if anyone wants to share.
I'll take some points.
Ooh, 750 points!
We were back here talking about, when we got on the topic of freedom, because first we don't greet each other and met each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got on the topic of freedom. And it's like, I think freedom is very subjective to the space you're in. And it's essentially trying to find the space where you are free.
Yes.
And our phenomenal poet here, he spoke to us in our group about how he's free when he writes. And that's like his freedom space, and like when he's performing in front of everybody, that's kind of his space where he feels the most free.
Yeah. I'm here for that. We're gonna talk about the 750 points. Be here at the end, you get your 750 points. Who else?
I have a question. What do the points go towards?
Well, with the points, like points are something that you can accumulate, and then when you have the points, they're your points. Like they're not my points.
Get points like that.
I mean, well.
That's all we get is points?
That's crazy.
750 points? That's a lot of points! How many points do you have right now? Like, you will have 750 more once you participate in this conversation.
Kevin, there is a bill going through Congress to take away
the status and relevance of any and all points.
So is this a senator in Kentucky or a senator in West Virginia or a senator in North Carolina? I'm like, I mean, it could have been a sneak one that was put in California. So you never know. But y'all keep your eyes open. Hey, coming for your points. Anybody else? Seven?
Yeah, I have a thought about freedom. It's I'm going to take from Chris Christopherson line where freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. And I think that's really, when you reflect on it and think about it, you can really kind of understand what will make you free. And that's one thing to really make you free, is to not really be worried about possessions or worried about things that you maybe think you must have that maybe isn't really what you actually need. And so I think that's a really wonderful line about freedom. I think it applies to a lot of things in a lot of different ways if you think about it for a while.
Right. I mean, I'm here for that. I mean, that's like, I mean, I think about stuff like that when I think about like the like by any means necessary. It's like, oh, it's I mean, that's freedom. So, thoughts, 700. All right, 1,000 points. So 750, I'm sorry. But 1,000. All right.
So one of my favorite quotes is by this man named Viktor Frankl. So I don't know how many people are familiar with him, but he survived the Holocaust. He was a psychiatrist. He witnessed his mother, his father, his sister, and his wife be murdered in front of him. And he said, you know what? I have two choices. I can sit here and I can allow these people to take away my freedom, and I can focus on the situation, or I can focus on where I'm going to be. So he started to visualize himself speaking across stages. He said, I'm going to be the greatest public speaker. So what he did was he built the morale of not only the inmates that were locked up with him in the concentration camps, but also the guards had respect for him. And so he came out and he did what he said he was going to do. And there's a powerful quote where he says, your freedom lies. Your freedom is the difference between the stimuli and your response. That's your freedom. And just to add to that, I was very anti-mindfulness and meditation. I was like, that's for rich white people. And then I realized, I'm like, your power, being able to practice pausing is how you build your sense of regulation, and you get to truly respond to life, and your freedom is in your mentality. Right? So I worked in prisons, and some of those people who are lifers, they ain't never getting out, they're freer than some of us who are out here. Exactly. So, and just the last thing I'll say, just to what you said, sir, I thought that was brilliant. You said I think what I heard too is being grateful for what we have in the moment. Because it's not about not wanting. I think we all should want abundance, but it's about being grateful so that we can be in a place to receive more. So that is what freedom means to me.
There was just like a web of connection with what was going on in the room. And I think that's also like a perfect transition to get back into some poems. So thank you. So 1,000 points. 750. Come see me about these 2,500 points after we wrap up. And when it was wild, actually now I think about it, don't you have on the podcast, like there's one of them that you're like talking about literally like that. So I was like, wow, yeah, this is the web is connected. Lady Revolution, when asked, Lady Rev said, freedom is the ability to live a life that is completely defined and controlled by you, where you are able to love, prosper, live, express, and simply be without limits. Let's give it up.
kind of thick. I want to do like 3 pieces for y'all, if that's cool. And I'm gonna get up out y'all way. I typically don't warn that I cuss, but I'm gonna do it today. I'm gonna cuss. It was some kids in here earlier, so I was looking at the kids like, damn. I'm gonna try to do it by memory too. Okay, this first piece is untitled. I have no idea what to call it. Generational curses serve as playing field for corrupt cops. Sometimes freedom is hidden in life choices that you don't get to make. It's hard to see little kids as innocents auctioned off in classrooms, so we turn on TVs instead. Cali King beds rest heads of fallen gangsters whose mothers shunned their fathers. Black folk in America ain't never been free. Grocery shopping is capitalism disguised as food equity. Prison reform can't be established because masses ain't trading high yield stock. Stimulate foreign tongues with stories of American dreams. You are only as good as you put out. Dirty hands build cities, not the poor. A society must be conducive to crime. That's why we're at war. Ain't nobody in America free. Chains don't sell like they used to. Granny's voodoo can't always protect you. Streets grit their teeth at empty clips. Rain don't cleanse acid, that's why we need blood. Grass grows in every mind that witnesses martyrdom in sunlight. What's freedom anyway? Lick lips chasing savory guava leaves filled with disappointment. Resentment in coffee mugs. You don't even know yourself. Why should I? Gamble away liberty to profit private laws. Don't nothing humble you like a jailhouse. Trauma fuels the economy. I know, none of this shit makes sense. It's not supposed to. The world wasn't made to live. This next piece is called Books. What be the price of penance? I'll trade you 1 fancy car for a 2 life sentence. I bet you a pot to piss in at halftime that you won't finish. What's really the value of a life? Aborted babies don't have no rights, so privilege be a criminal. Mistakes are like stocks, except they trade at all hours of the day, including weekends. Piss, shit, drink water, then brush your teeth again. Ain't no humanity if there's people. So I ask you again, what be the price of penance? Shady politicians fucking on children? White women scrubbing floors for every Angela, Henrietta, and Shantae. I'll give you the option of house arrest if you can prove to me the land that you want. This isn't about intentions. Criminalization don't speak in slang. I bet you 3 melts that commissary comes from the dollar store, only poor feed poor. There's a thin line between revolution and treason. Democracy is a corporation in bankruptcy. The scheme of courthouses ain't business that I'm privy to understand. Only the previous owners of stolen people to be locked away 24 hours a day in cold stone. I mean a classroom. I'm sorry, I mean a hospital bed. Oh, I mean the projects. I mean any place in America that preys on sickness foreign to yourself. So what be the price of penance and how do you want to pay? I seen a girl ask for freedom and she was given linen instead. Cement beds prepped for luxurious caskets. Black and brown bodies hold out to fill racism's quota. Somebody's got to do the work. Little kids told to give up your smile, give up your laugh. Misery fix you better. It's only 10 cents to bear witness. Ain't no children left to work this ground. Thank you, woman. Fuck forgiveness, that shit don't make enough. There is no justice if a spirit is still intact. There is no peace if power isn't being waged. And you ain't got enough money on your books to waitlist your Section 8, so what be the price of penance? Shit, every fucking thing. My last one is called We Carry. carry loads of souls to the borders of free land. Broken hearts guide footsteps to revelations not yet received. Ignorance tastes like candy. 380s bang daily so that children learn to count. How many bullets does it take to break 500-year-old chains? There aren't different names, and every face blends together. Life be a mural dedicated to seeds not planted. Shit, air ain't cheap. And holes till ground looking for love underneath. We carry sadness like divine carries us. Collect tears in empty buildings to fund commissary for angered white folks. Trees move faster. Leaves painted by secrets kept in wind. We live in cemetery. And we carry dead babies in metal strollers. Tongues clipped yield better crops. Your medicine be penance for every time you allowed your mind to break cycles. When retracing did not erase the smell of fallen clouds, and so we carry pieces. With arms bleeding and back stomped in. Unlevel ground looks steep, but we really just walking. Barrett's pattern of reflection of sun and suns hold those hands. Freedom can't be free. Ooh, hold on.
You got it.
Let me look it up. I think it's palms cracked, rubbery grasp on concrete buildings. Someone must build it. We carry fertilizer to our graves to show our commitment. We made it here without mothers, without fathers, without love, without hope, without fearing the ghost of ourselves, carrying shit that we don't even need to uplift new hearts. Reconfigured limbs lead to holy water, and we carry cups. Just enough to not give up. There is no last breath. Almost ain't enough. Bricks build legacy. Thank you.
Yes. Yo. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Let's give it up for Ladi Rev one more time. And so, yeah, y'all gotta go check out Talking Outside of Your Neck. So at Ladi Rev on Instagram, there's like it's linked from there, right?
I think so.
I think, yeah, perfect. So you go there, go to the little link in bio, click on that, go find the podcast, and then go check. And then you can follow, you can see where all the, what all events is coming up on. And find that episode that's literally what we were just talking about. It's
So
like,
you know it's L-A-D-I.
oh, that's true, yes.
R-E-V.
Yes, Ladirev. Perfect. So, got you one voice for you. Shawna Sherman. And when asking Shawna about freedom, Shawna said, freedom is to be able to speak the truth. Let's give it up for Shawna Sherman.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Kevin. So glad to be here tonight. I'm going to take us to the past. I'm going to honor the 2,500 enslaved women that appeared in runaway ads from the colonial times. So I'm working on a project, and these poems are persona poems taking words from those runaway slave ads. He told me to define home. Was home my bed, or the place I was born, or the place the ship deposited me after it docked? I said, my home is the world. I belong to the world. And he struck me on my right cheek with a small broom. Later, he studied the wounds and wrote about changes in appearance. Some wounds staggering, long open marks, pus, yellow. When he studied my wounds, I stared out the window and began naming things. I named the dust that spread when a wheel rambled by, a blur, and the dust created by a hoe, a curtain. When children shuffled their feet to make dust clouds, I named it obstruction. The scars faint now, 6 lines marked on the surface. I survived through naming. Then someone told me, instead of naming, I should worry, the dust creates more work. I said, my mind is at home when I'm free thinking, a thinking that's mine to measure and name, like the force of the broom on skin, despicable, the way dust particles stick to wet wounds, excruciating, and the name of that flower over there, yellow hibiscus. Runaway 2. I practiced talking in a Welsh accent, standing behind a curtain, whispering words repeated when I listened for words in the same place. My voice in that accent undetectable. When I made a soldier turn, it was a thrill. I didn't worry I'd be caught. In fact, he didn't understand who was talking. They say you spell curtain C-U-R-T-A-I-N, the C, the K, the best sound, how you have to expend breath to say it. Like saying, Cuffy, 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 the boy next door, Cuffy. People called me smitten. People also called me idle because I stopped often when dusting to think of words and also to think of him. From behind the curtain, I learned they called that contemplating or taking it all in. I smell gardenia now and am reminded of the night at the dance with Cuffy. Now I tap my fingers to the tune I heard there. I didn't mind the hand on my hip, on the small of my back. Sometimes a touch is welcome. I told Cuffy as much. Runaway 3. We've talked of how I don't want to talk of the scars, but since you're asking, this one I got when I jumped from a window, when I endeavored to get as far as the eastern shore. When I got there, some said I was cursed with the smallpox, so I vaccinated. Pox on my necks and arms, still some scarring, but the sickness not as bad. The 3 lines on my face. Let's change the subject. How are things going in town? Do you endeavor to work with the patriots? It's a strange word, endeavor, you said. I endeavor always for better outcomes, but that doesn't mean I'm any closer to freedom. Thank you. Let's have 2 more. Runaway 4. Some days in camp, we compared our luck with the French, the English, the Patriots. When deprivations persisted, we persuaded ourselves against thinking of marred hope. On the night of song, on my way to the meeting hall, I stopped to stare at the ocean. I stared at a ship on the horizon, one hand in my pocket, my mind arguing for dreams. I didn't worry of what taken from me in this new existence. A piece of my ear gone, first aid to my face, neck. I bandaged the wounds, the sores never deep enough to cut the vein. The people in camp said luck helped me heal, and they turned towards the makeshift graves in the distance. Tonight, on the night designated to sing of afar, I thumbed the earbobs in my pocket, saved for these remembrances. This night, we don't argue for freedom. This night, we sing its song. Dear Mom, my painting teacher talked today about techniques to up the emotional content of my pieces. The colors, the weight of the stroke, the weight of paint on the brush, all available. So today, I crisscrossed the canvas in dark strokes of scarlet, my emotion a longing to be near you, to talk face to face. The state I'm in, my level of freedom, a foreboding this freedom will end before I can share it with you. I try to surrender these feelings when I'm working with the brush. Today, I contemplated a field of lavender, invented a goal, make work of layered experiences, and then I painted a bright yellow streak over the red. Dinners here are much the same. I wear the earbobs you gave me. The Englishman is a repeat visitor. Last week, we took a boat excursion, gazed at the river from bank to bank. I've begun making brush strokes in the rhythm of a paddle going through water, the brush up, then down, and up again in an arc, a rhythm I learned from ferrying in canoes with you. Is all this luxury, this leisure, this freedom worth it if we have to be apart? My latest work, A Forest of Gray, my teacher commented on how lonely it seemed, and I nodded and continued painting. My only reward for living this newfound freedom is a future with a stable life for both of us. One day, I know it, we will be together again. Love, Sue.
The journey for freedom. That's the journey for freedom. Still on it. Hard fought, hard, always hard won. Maybe it will be possible. But you get the hope. Get the hope there. Has been, will be. Has been, is, will be again. Let's give it up for Shawna Sherman. And another one of the questions that asked on the phone was like, yo, is there anything that you would recommend, like folks checking out? And these are gonna start being posted. I'm like bad with doing the social media thing. These are gonna start being posted though, and including going on the newsletter. Recommendations just from poets. And Shawna was like, oh, and the creek don't rise with no money clay. And I was like, ooh, yes. I was like, yes. So that's so until y'all start, following at living_room_SF, and I start also posting it. These two things need to both happen. But you can at least go get Blanche books. That's yes. Yeah, do that. One more poet. Darius Simpson. And when asked about freedom, Darius said, freedom means the liberation, independence, and sovereignty of a given people to organize themselves to use collective creativity and natural resources toward the positive development of their environment in collaboration with worldwide attempts to do the same. Right? Let's give it up. With that same energy.
Is this thing on? No, I'm not gonna fuck with it. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I didn't know everybody's response was gonna be so succinct, and so like, we didn't see each other, we didn't get to talk. So mine seems out of place now.
That was perfect.
Oh shucks. Can you make some noise if you know what Juneteenth is? Can you make some noise if you've read the Juneteenth Proclamation, General Order Number 3? Anybody? Sure. So this is the order that was printed when the soldiers went down to Galveston, Texas. The order that was printed in papers and read aloud. In that order, again, these are some of the last people. As we know, slavery continued even after this proclamation, and still to this day. In the proclamation, they said essentially, y'all free now, but don't go nowhere. They said that the relationship between the enslaved now. The slaves are between, from being enslaved to worker and employers. Your relationship with your master is now shifted. And then they also said, remain here because you will not be allowed to gather in public. Don't come to the military bases because we won't protect you. And so this is what was put out there as an announcement of freedom, right? Immediately we shifted from a slave relationship to a worker-employer relationship. I think it's important to contextualize that order in that way, because what we have going on here today when we think about what it means to be free. There are, these little moments that we get at freedom, right, where we feel most free and all that. I think those are more sought after when we have the absence of true, freedom and sovereignty. And so very easily we say, I feel most free when this happens because I got to get back to work. I got to go slave so I don't fucking die, I can't afford this food if not for, I can't afford this shelter, this healthcare, so on and so forth. And that too is not freedom, this thing that we're existing in. It doesn't have to be that way. And so I just wanted to offer that for some poems. I try to start poems with 2 objective facts. The first objective fact, it's real dramatic to take off your jacket when you're on stage. You about to get down to business. I sweat very easily, so I don't want to start performing and then start profusely sweating, that's all. The first objective fact, banana flavor is disgusting. Banana flavor everything, absolutely disgusting. The second objective fact, it's okay to shoot back at cops. The black artist's role in America is to aid in the destruction of America as he knows it. Amiri Baraka. I'm from Akron, Ohio, but currently I live just east of a contradiction. Clumps of knotted human hair skip excitedly over sidewalk cracks and pairs. Screeching tires scrape murals into over-patrolled crosswalk paint. City trimmers and zip codes shaken loose from indigenous childhoods. Colonialism don't respect finders keepers. All's fair in genocide except self-defense. There are humans too familiar with the politics of thunderstorm forecasts. Squalor sitting right next door to neighborhood-sized apartment building. There's half-empty baby bottles rolling over broken glass under the freeway. There's dead grass, grappling with the distance between beating hearts, piles of repurposed couch cushions, and bench warrants covered in sewage. Climate crisis is disgusted by how many civilians we pile on the curb. While profits skyrocket for empty housing units, while a high-rise falls out the chapped lips of an investor, I'm not really sure how leasing works. I got my degree in human decency. I'm not really up on the latest ethics for ownership. All my comrades keep space on the couch and a spare blanket. We push the weight limits of a Honda Civic and there is always room. Wednesday is a good excuse to shoplift under capitalism. Yesterday was sufficient evidence to stack bricks outside the courthouse. Yesterday was sufficient evidence to stack bricks outside the mayor's kitchen window. 1970s criminal records are waiting for academics and artists to put on work boots. I'm not sure what's legal and what's tradition anymore, but at some point, y'all, sick of this shit has got to lead us to get rid of city council, lest we be made of plastic promises too, lest the young have a bone to pick, lest that bone come from our inactive skeletons, lest there be no lands left to pick a fight on. I blame the suffering last for how we survived the winter. I blame the governor for flooded highways and raining ash. I blame poverty on vegan diet commercials and yoga studios. I blame police for lead pipes and poison middle school history lessons. I blame police for all the mornings my father bit his tongue on the job. I blame police for my lazy eye twitch and my obsessive desire to produce. I blamed the sheriff's office last week when I stubbed my toe. It left this iron star-shaped blood stain in my sock. I said I'm from Akron, Ohio. Does the name Jalen Walker seem familiar to anybody? couple folks. So Jalen Walker is a 25-year-old black boy murdered last June by Akron Pigs. There was 8 officers involved. They shot 90 shots and 46 hit Jalen. I was telling someone a joke recently. I said, it's been a year and the city of Akron still hasn't named the 8 officers who murdered Jalen. In response, this person said, they said, you know he shot at the police, right? You know he might not have had his hands up. You know he was not up to date on his YMCA membership. You know he did not mentor at-risk teenagers after school. You know his license was suspended and his tail lights shattered. You know he wasn't wearing a lick of white when they found him. Had his pants sagging, had his shirt untucked, had his lips unbuckled, dripping southern twang all on the concrete. It sounded like a mouthful of honeybees was stuck at the top of his throat. You know he was black. Like black, like dark roast coffee beans, black like ashy knuckles, cradling a bottle of wild Irish rose on the sidewalk, black like scarecrow, perched just outside that liquor store doorway, black like purple tar gums and gold teeth. Like paper bag hands and menthol breath, like empty Black and Mild wrappers stuffed in the glove compartment. I heard it wasn't even blood where they left him. I heard it was just stains of red Kool-Aid. I heard it was just puddles of strawberry pop fizz. You know, sugar would have got him if 12 didn't. You know his teeth were little yellowing daggers. You know he was a dragon, returned fire, went out in a puff of smoke. You know he was a weapon, didn't beg for his life or call for his mother or his partner. You know that nigga went out on his feet, brought a gun to a gunfight, brought mutiny to a slave ship at the Atlantic shoreline. You know that nigga was a nigga. And not like, ha, nigga. Not like next Democratic presidential nominee, nigga. Not like run fast, jump high, nigga. Like worm food covered in tree bark. Like lead water clogging an artery, like dead leaves stuck in a gutter, like storm the arsenal and shoot the masters. He was one of those give me liberty or give me blood types. That nigga had the nerve to want freedom and then go do something about it and still. Let me guess, y'all gonna march for him? What would Malcolm X's old zoot suit think? What would a white woman's rendition of Dr. King think? What would the noose say? What if they see us marching and think we just as dangerous as him? What if I say liberation and they think I mean I hate America? What if I hate America? But don't know no other homeland? Shit, what if America hates me back? Does something about it, but doesn't leave me time to shoot first. If I'm caught between a badge and a hard place, 3 hours after the street lights turn on, will y'all church it? Will y'all pass it along pews of almost saints until it reaches the whole congregation? Will you tithe it? Will you stretch it thin, like goat skin over the shell of a djembe drum? Will you slap it? Will you let the echo dance naked in the wet cave of your throat? Will you bark it? Will you sing it like my mother is listening? Will you inhale until your lungs nearly burst, then inhale some more, then inhale some more, then and only then will you say my name? Will you put some stank on it? Will you juke joint James Brown it? Will you Jerry Curl spray it? How can I rest in peace or power? If y'all get all lazy lipped when you're talking about me, will you scoop it thick? Will you stir it slow? Will you mac and cheese it? Will you to spread the savory over your tongue? Will you let it marinate? Will you serve it with Sunday dinner if you say my name? And cast iron skillets don't start to rattling, that mean you ain't say it loud enough. Will you say it again? If a redwood don't split open from the trunk, that mean you ain't pronounce it right. Will you say it again? Will you redecorate this city in streams of fire after me? Will you paint downtown a scorching hue? Will you stain this sky in black smoke? Will you tell ghost stories over the ashes of this empire? Will you scream it? Will you stand out in the clutter of some rush hour traffic to let these motherfuckers know what kind of boots I wore? Will you stomp it into the soil of the last place where I laughed with my whole body? Will you dance it? Will you Saturday night praise it? Will you tambourine it? Will you drunken favorite song shout it? Will you full moon howl? Will you shriek? Will you moan? Will you chant? Will you live? Will you fight? Will y'all cry? Will you cry for me? Will you? Probably wouldn't have kept that long if I got off stage. I appreciate you. I put something on Facebook. I don't go on Facebook anymore, but I told folks that if you were white, you should send me $1,000. I have yet to receive that $1,000. If you are white in the audience today, try to get $1,000. There's still time.
All right.
Oh God. It's like where I can't. It's like funny. I was like, I couldn't remember the name of one of the billionaires. Zuckerberg, Musk, all the rest of them. Give it up one more time for Darius Simpson. Please, so there's a people's program, a pop-up that's happening June 25th? June 25th, right? Next Sunday, 6 days from now, in Oakland. So, at People's Program, to grab more information on Instagram. Do you have any copies of books that you probably don't do? Nah. Right. That's what happens. Stuff sells out. You can't get it.
Or if you're that white person with $1,000.
Right. That a book will probably find its way to you at some point. Maybe $1,000. Let's do it. Thank you all. Like for coming. Oh, I didn't do the thing. I was like, oh, I'm gonna. Two things actually. Before I say goodbye. So. I never remember to do this. I'm always like, oh yeah, surveys. They all like survey thing. That's like a thing. People want to know how things went. If you want to think about ways, I'm knocking on tripods to just like keep these things, keep this going, keep many things going. Do a QR code, bit.ly/TLR survey. Like. Doing a survey would be great. You don't have to. That's why I never get them done. So I'm like, whatever. I don't like to do surveys either, but I do them.
Moab, Quiet Lightning, Better Ancestors.
Yes, July 7th.
6th.
Are you sure 6th or 7th? It's the Monday.
It is the 6th, I'm pretty certain.
All right.
And it's myself and 4 other people.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, exactly. So who all knows? You all know Moab, right? Museum of African Diaspora, Mission Street. Hit it up, July 6th. It's first Monday in July. Quiet Lightning, Better Ancestors. It's dope. And I say that as someone who genuinely just thinks it's dope, but also as someone who's on a team. I thought, what better way than to leave us all than with something from Miss Audre Lorde. And there were so many possibilities. And I was like, well, I've been listening to I've listened to a lot. I've been listening to Michael, Killer Mike, dope album. Been listening to No Thank You, Lil Sims, check it out. Been listening to Janelle Monáe. What is it? Love of Pleasure? What is it? Age of Pleasure. And that's, I don't know, Age of Pleasure took me kind of to here, but not really. A Question of Climate. I learned to be honest the way I learned to swim. Dropped into the inevitable, my father's thumbs and my hairless armpits about to give way. I am trying to surface carefully, remembering the water's shadow-legged musk cannons of salt, exploding my nostrils' rage, and for years, my powerful breaststroke was a declaration of war. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to Kimpton Alton Hotel. Thank you to all the poets, and thank you all for being here.